All right, midway point of the program here tonight from the Beach House Grill in Old Town Fort Collins. We continue along the Coors line. CSU basketball coaches show. Talk some women's basketball in the first half hour. Set to talk some men's basketball here in the second half hour. Joined by Tim Miles. Tim, how the heck are you?
Doing good, Brian. Good to see you.
That's right. It's a long time no see. But it feels like I don't know. It feels like you're my long lost brother. We've been hanging out so much of late.
Big brother. No, big brother. I'm older. I've got all the gray hair here to worry about. I'm like, I noticed that the other day, and you hate to, but it's like the president ages. And I watched that. We have that TV show, The Peak, and I remember seeing the first year. Oh, look at that guy, And I look at this year, and I'm like, holy. Who's that guy? It's,
well, they're two very stressful jobs.
Yeah.
President of the United States, very stressful. But
kind of like, they're about. I see those.
They're all relative, though. And one thing that, I'll take you back to
but 10. You're not going to see any gray on Kristen Holt. I mean, look at her. She looks fabulous. You're not going to see any gray on her.
She does look fabulous.
She's like 29, by the way.
She looks 29.
That's the two reasons.
When I got into doing this at CSU 10 years ago, I didn't really understand the day-to-day pressure that college coaches are under. But, every single game, and you're almost fighting for your life as a college coach every single game, fighting for your job.
We always say live for the day.
Live for the day.
Live for the day. And, just take it one day at a time, do as well as you can that day, do it again the next day. Try not to get too freaked out if things aren't going well, or try not to get too soft if things are, going really well.
Yep.
So it's a lot of fun. Beats working for a living.
It does.
But it does make you gray now.
It does, and whether it be women's volleyball, women's basketball, football. And, I've talked to you about this. I've talked to Steve Fairchild about this, and maybe even more. I should say, it might be even harder to be a spouse of a college coach.
Yeah, well, they don't have it easy because they have no control.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They have to sit in the stands and watch.
Listen and do all that stuff. But the coach can go out and coach better, recruit better, do all those things better. So it's a helpless position to be in. But what the heck, everybody signed up for the same thing. So here we go.
Well, no new gray hairs this week. That's because the Rams got the win. That's why you win 1-0 this week, although you might have had maybe a gray hair pop up at the start of that Wyoming game. By the way, the Rams win it on Tuesday night, 73-60 to go to 11-4, 1-0 in conference play. But the first half, you guys got down early, turned the basketball over early, and then gave up some threes that Wyoming was hitting them from everywhere.
Yeah, you have to credit Wyoming. I mean, they came out and made, I don't know, 6 of their first 7 or 7 of the first 9 threes, some kind of number. I forget what it was. But we turned the ball over. We let into some transition for them, some easy buckets. We didn't play as well as we could have. And that happens. It's just seeing Wyoming, their pressure, figuring out their zone, which is a little bit different. It takes some time to figure all that out, but we did manage to get under control toward the end of the first half, tighten the game from being down 11, 12, 13 to get it down all the way to 2. And then I thought our kids did a good job in the second half taking control.
Yeah, it was 39-26, 5:15, I believe, to go in the first half. And I know at that point you guys are thinking, get it down to a manageable number going into halftime, but you guys went on 11-0 run to close out the half, and just like that, it's a two-point game.
Yeah, with our bench. Dorian Green was the only starter in the game in that stretch, and Maurice Wiltz was in there.
Greg Smith was in there.
Greg Smith, Will Bell, Pierce Hornig, and I thought Pierce really changed the game. He came in and made great plays, defensive rebounding, whatever it might be, and it took our guys a while to fight back, but when we did, we were okay. And we've, like you and I have talked about, we've endured a lot of standing 8 counts. This team has. We get out, get punched, kind of fall down, kind of meander up. The ref takes our gloves, sees if we're okay. We're cognizant enough to at least know our name and where we're at, and then we are able to fight back from there. So got to find a way to avoid that, especially going on the road in the Mountain West.
But can that also be viewed as a good thing, knowing that your team has the resolve to be able to come back? Now, I know you don't like to do that on multiple occasions, but
like every occasion, the last 6 games or whatever it is, except Dominican.
Auburn, who's playing for the national title tonight in college football, they were down in 8 of their 13 games, and in 4 of them they were down by double figures and came back to win every single one. So
yeah, well, nice job, Auburn. And can Cam Newton play basketball? I don't know. We don't have that kind of cash. But when you look at things. it is say something about our team. I think we're talented enough, we're hard working enough, we're resilient enough, we've got enough senior leadership to help us get back into games, not panic too bad. And I would prefer to avoid it. Last year we won our first 2 conference games, I believe, and we're never behind. And that's the way a coach would prefer it. If we can get to that, that'd be good.
Well, the resilient Rams came back and they beat Wyoming 73-60. We'll talk more about the conference opening win from this past Tuesday. It comes up next here at the Beach House Grill in Old Town Fort Collins. From Milligan Sports, Colorado State Sports Network. Coors Light CSU basketball show continues tonight from the Beach House Grill. We're in Old Town Fort Collins. Coach Tim Miles joining us. Rams victorious Tuesday night, 73-60 over the Cowboys in front of a nice crowd of 4,000 plus without the students too, Tim. And I know that number's going to increase and maybe some of the volume level will increase, but the 4,000 I thought was a good crowd and they were into it.
It was excellent, and we needed them. We really did. There was a time that we were, behind, and the crowd really stood up and cheered, and that was good to see, especially without our students. While we've been here, and granted that for a while there was nothing to cheer about, so I don't blame you. I wouldn't be cheering either. And but our students kind of carried us, I thought, last season. But this season, I think it's been much more vocal throughout the crowd. And we're going to need that against TCU next weekend, or this weekend, or whenever weekend we're talking about. And until we get our students back, we're going to need that. So some exciting Mountain West teams. 2 teams now in the top 10 for the first time ever. I think the league just continues to improve and improve.
San Diego's at 6. BYU is now at number 10 in the latest poll. It's a fantastic league. There's no question about that. We've been talking about this Wyoming win for the last 7 or 8 minutes. We haven't mentioned the name Adam Nygaard yet. How about
did
the
we
game?
not?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, we had him on the TV show here today, and they asked him about the game. He was like, "Oh, yeah, well, I had my shot going." And just a real no big deal, ho-hum attitude. That's kind of the way that Adam is. But 21 points, went 7 of 10 from the 3-point line.
Yeah, and he was really. I thought Adam did a nice job in the first half when all heck was breaking loose. Every time we turn around, they'd like get a steal and a dunk. We'd miss a shot, they'd hit a 3. Nygaard before you'd even fly, like, what happened? Nygaard just hit a 3, and he kind of just kept us hanging around and steadied us. And then he was just really a good voice. And like you and I shared on the post-game show, I had one of our timeouts. I'm like, Adam, you talk to him. And he's got such a strong voice with the team, and he does such a nice job. And he's got, he's sometimes, I get to be going all worked up, and Adam will say, Coach, we're fine, and that's good because I need that, and manage me a little bit. Help me out here, brother.
Yeah,
and,
I didn't realize you got that worked up until, because I'm always, it's loud, and I've never see what goes on your huddle until I was watching the first 2 episodes of Season Pass here this past week, which you can find on the Mountain. You get after it during the game.
My children told me during the Colorado game, I was yelling at the guys, and Gabe, my 6-year-old, does it, and he pretends he says I'm a chicken. And so he goes, bark, 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 when I'm yelling at the guys. They just mock and mock their dad, which, hey, it's been happening since I was about 4, so let's just pile on, folks.
It is a very entertaining show. You can catch it on the Mountain. They've done 2 episodes. What are they doing, 6
and
this year?
And they can catch our coaches show with Kristen and you and I and all those folks in there. They kind of mix that in there too whenever on the Mountain, and I think local cable stuff. And
Channel 11 here in Fort Collins.
But if you really want entertainment, come to the radio show, come to the Beach House Grill, come see what we got going on here, have a bite to eat, have a cold drink, and it's good stuff.
It's a great place to be, especially tonight. You get the national championship game. They have 19 TVs here at the Beach House Grill, so it's a great place to come and settle down for a few hours. All right, we'll have more.
And sometimes Steve Fairchild will be here.
Sometimes Steve Fairchild will be here.
Not at my show, but at his show. I mean, we got all kinds of shows going on.
We're with Steve in the fall talking some football. And, Steve, Steve actually said he said he is going to come here for one of the men's and women's basketball coaches show just to see what it's like to kick back with a beer and kind of watch everything go down. He doesn't have to be on the hot seat as you and Kristen have been.
Yeah, it's I've come to Steve's show on occasion, and just because it's fun to be in Old Town, it's fun to be at the Beach House. And
cheerleaders are here.
Cheerleaders are here tonight too. Now let's hear it for the cheerleaders, huh? Yay!
That's never a bad thing.
No, I tell you what. How long does it take you guys to learn the school song? Like 15 minutes, 5 minutes, 4 minutes? because I mean, you guys knock it out like crazy all the time too. Like during our show, you're on about your 5th time, right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it's awesome having them here. A lot of energy, brings a lot of energy. They're great at our games too. Our dance line's good. Our cheer team's awesome. Our band is phenomenal. It's good stuff now.
It is very, very good entertainment, especially now with the new diamond.
Oh, we got video boards. Yeah, that whole deal. You know, just bring your headphones and listen to Roth.
That's right. That's.
Oh, we're hitting a hook here. Look at this. Right, wrap it up.
We gotta go.
We're in Bluetooth with 2 breaks.
Are we still on the radio? It's like we're just kind of sitting at the bar having a beer ourselves watching the game. So, all right, we will take a time out and talk more Colorado State Rams basketball. Beach House Grill here in Old Town Fort Collins is the site. From Elegant Sports, Colorado State Sports Network. Back live here at the Beach House Grill in Old Town Fort Collins for the Coors Light CSU Basketball Coaches Show. Don't forget, Rams, you can join head coach Tim Miles and Kristen Holt here at the Beach House Grill at 125 South College Avenue in Old Town Fort Collins every Monday night from here until the end of the hoop season from 6 to 7 p.m. It's the Coors Light CSU Basketball Coaches Show. Well, Tim, you get the nice win, then you get the weekend off. Some of the players got a few days off, and I know they were appreciative of that. What were you doing? Out on the road recruiting?
You know, I actually I did go recruiting one night, but I went locally.
Okay.
And so that was good. We were going to put me on the road, and then we kind of looked at some different things, and we had to it gets convoluted at times. You know, all of a sudden there's supposed to be an event in Phoenix, and now the best team doesn't bring their best 2 players, and the other kid is sick, and you're going like, well, we can get a refund on that, right? So you just try and do what's best, and it ended up me being home, and that was good. And our kids, what we tried to do was give them 3 days off, and so we went on a day, off a day, on a day, off a day, and now we'll be on a couple more. And it's my job now is to get those competitive juices flowing here these first 2 days again as we go early in the week and get us going against ourselves, highly competitive, so we're ready to go down in the pit where New Mexico is really difficult to play.
Yeah, I know the players like some of those days off, especially after the stretch on the road that you guys had. I mentioned Adam Nigon in our postgame show. I go, Adam, you guys are going to get 3 days off here in this next week. He goes, what? 3 days off?
We didn't tell him that. Yeah, no, so
I spilled the
blow my secret. And we always lie to him. We're always like, oh, no, we're on tomorrow. We'll text you what time. And then we text them like, yeah, we're off. You know, and so they're catching on to our tricks. So so I got to change it up on them. But I think they just needed to be away from each other a little bit. They needed a mental rest as much as a physical rest.
Yeah, I mean, when you're on the road the way that you guys were, I mean, those guys are around each other 24/7, and breaks are always good.
It's good and bad.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys that don't shower, it's, you know, I mean, you need a break from them. The guys that shower on a regular basis, you're okay with.
Luckily, I
didn't.
just
not pretend that some of those guys don't shower enough. I'm just going to tell you.
I'm glad my roommate, Danny Matei, showered.
He showers. I mean, he grooms like most days, I could tell.
New Mexico coming up on Wednesday night. You guys will fly down to Albuquerque coming up tomorrow. It's always tough to play down at the pit. Your thoughts on going on the road for the first time?
Even an okay team in Albuquerque is really good in the pit. And these guys are good. They're a very good team, but our goal is to close the gap with the top 4. They've been in the top 4, and so to me, I don't want to call it a defining game, a defining moment, but I'm certainly looking for it as a gauge. I'm looking for a great improvement. I'm looking for a heck of a ball game, and obviously we're going down there to win.
New Mexico coming into that game at 12-4 in the season. They're 0-1 in conference play. They lost on the road.
Did they lose 2 in a row start the season last year?
They did. They opened up 0-2 in conference play last year.
They're 0-1. I mean, I'm not the brightest guy now. You know, I'm not like that smart, but gee, that would be fun to.
They ruled out 14 straight last year in
let's
conference.
Just beat them, and we'll worry about the other 14 later.
As all the media, that's right. As all the media down there in Albuquerque, they were quick to point out that they lost to Wyoming this time, and last time it was UNLV and BYU.
Yeah.
So
so does that mean we're not? Come on.
I don't know.
Albuquerque News,
Albuquerque Journal and Albuquerque Tribune down there. And
they don't have the Tribune anymore, do they?
They don't.
I don't believe so.
They don't.
Trust me.
That did go under.
Yeah,
didn't
went
it?
under. Yep. Yeah, you trust me. When you get grilled by all of them, you know which ones are still around, which ones aren't.
Richard Stevens is still around, though, I believe. But
Mark Smith.
And Mark Smith.
Yeah.
Okay. So
former TV personality.
Is he?
Yeah. Well, he was. Yeah.
Well, usually these days you see the TV personalities just kind of go by the wayside, but the newspaper writers become TV personalities.
Yeah, he did it the opposite way.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'm sure Kelly Lyle's going to be a TV superstar here any day now from the Colorado
Don't count him out now. Don't count Kelly out.
New Mexico 12-4. They lost 67-66 at Wyoming on Saturday. Last-second shot by well, that's about as close as you can get to beating the buzzer.
It was out of his hand. It was amazing.
It really was, and it was clear that it was out.
Yeah.
But that's a nice win for Wyoming. But that's the first loss, and as you mentioned, 14 games for New Mexico. It'll be interesting to see how they bounce back.
Yeah, I hope they are stunned and disappointed and hung over, all those terms we use about a team that's mourning a loss. But I'm excited to. They talk about needing the pit. They need the pit. They've been away from home, and they need that pit. And you know what? I don't care where we're playing. We go play on a parking lot in Cancun. It won't matter to me. We're ready to strap it on and go compete.
You guys have played in a parking lot.
You saw us out there practicing in a parking lot in Cancun. It worked.
It did. It worked very well. The game against Kansas at the Sprint Center, 18,000, I thought it was loud, but it wasn't as loud as maybe I expected it to be.
Yeah, those NBA arenas like that are not, when they get so spaced out on you, it's just not as much. It's different. Yeah, the college arenas that hold sound, are really difficult to play in, like the pit.
Yeah, Wednesday, what I'm getting at is I think it's going to be the loudest venue you've played in this year with the crowd against you.
A lot of people say it's one of the top 2 or 3 best venues to play in the country. Wherever Duke plays, what's that place called?
Cameron
Indoor.
Yep.
And Minnesota, the places I've been at, Minnesota can be really difficult to play in. It can get really loud in the barn.
Yep, Williams Arena up there. It looks cool on TV. I've never
cool.
been there.
Just don't fall off the floor. I mean, you're up there about 4.5 feet, and you kind of start stepping backwards, and you have no bearing.
As a coach, you're walking the sideline. Next thing you know, you go tumbling down. That Minnesota crowd wouldn't do it.
Yeah, the students are right there giving you a tough time anyway.
I'm out for a pink tie
there, and they reminded me that didn't look very good on me.
8 o'clock, the tip-off time. I don't think those students think any coach looks good as long as they're wearing opposing colors.
My mom said I look better than you're saying I look. I just put that one at them, and they didn't really shut them up. But.
No, 8 o'clock is the tip-off time coming up Wednesday night down at the pit. And the Rams get another home day with TCU. We'll move along and talk about that when we come back. We're live at the Beach House Grill from Elliott Sports, Colorado State Sports Network. All right, a couple more segments left here on the Coors Light CSU Basketball Coaches Show, live at the Beach House Grill here at Old Town Fort Collins. Colorado State, again, goes on the road Wednesday night to take on the Lobos down at the pit, and then they come back home against TCU.
The Lobos are good this year. They are. Every time I go to the airport in Albuquerque, somebody
stops
where are you from? Yeah. And I'm like, you in town to play the Lobos? Yep. Yeah, the Lobos are good this year. And I'm like, every time you're in Albuquerque, you hear how good the Lobos are.
Well, it sounds kind of like a Minnesota accent there, too.
That was my southwestern Minnesota accent, yeah.
Well,
a little southwest in there.
Lobos are the only team in town down there.
Yeah,
I know that's a good thing, and I guess that's kind of a bad thing too. If you really want to be put under a microscope as a head coach, it's maybe a bad thing, but it's a good thing because of the support that they get down there. Entertainment dollars for a lot of people go to New Mexico
they
basketball.
Just put, 60, 80 million into the pit, so I'll be really interested to see the renovations and how good that makes it look. I think I'm going to try and bring Rick Callen down with me, because I've got a big idea for a Moby renovation, and so I think we're going to go check out and see how many million we're going to pour into Moby too. So we got that wired. Is RC here, or is he over at Sunny Lubbock's?
Oh, he's already gone.
He's gone. He got bored early.
Well, that's what happens when you put me on the radio.
Can't believe it.
TCU on Saturday. You get them at home. They're 9-8 on the season. Boy, you talk about a tough way to open up conference play. They go 0-2, but.
Well, there's a lot of teams that are going to lose to San Diego State at home and be up at halftime, and then lose at UNLV, and that's just that's the way our league goes. We lost 4 in a row at the end of last year. Similar, at UNLV, San Diego State at home. It's easy to fall in a rut like that in this league. TCU's a good team. We've had excellent games there and here. Every game I think since I've been here has been a really close game at both places. So we're excited to get them here. They've got 2 excellent guards, Ronnie Moss and Hank Thorns. They've got some good 3-point shooting, and so that should be a fun, entertaining basketball game. And they're going to the Big East. They're big timers. They're high major. So I think we got them for another year, 2 years here. And
they got invited because they thought thought TCU would fit well into the landscape of Big East basketball.
Because TCU is already the best football team in that league.
They're going for football, too.
They're going in all sports.
I didn't realize they wanted the football team. I thought they just wanted the basketball team.
Don't tell anybody. Football made a decision on a conference affiliation change. Shh, don't tell anybody.
Don't tell Jim Christian. Don't tell Dave Rose at BYU.
I don't know. I'm not sure football's running this deal, but I think it's got a part of it.
It might have a small part. All right.
Is John Gotti running the football team now? What's going on with the football programs?
We'll take one final break, come back, and wrap it up here from the Beach House Grill on a Monday night. I'm Nelly at Sports, Colorado State Sports Network. All right, final time here on the Coors Light CSU basketball coaches show here at the Beach House Grill. I have Tim Miles with us for another minute and a half.
I would call that a smattering of applause. I can tell the BCS championship game started.
Yeah, we have a couple people looking up at us, but the majority are watching the game.
I'm watching the game. What are you talking about?
I am too. We can just sit here and describe what we see on the TV. No score, by the way, midway through the first. Tim, we've talked about this Mountain West Conference, but you mentioned the two teams in the top 25, top 25 and top 10 now. UNLV dropped off after that loss to BYU, but that's incredible. This league is, I don't think there's any question now at this point it's better than last year.
It's unprecedented, and it's history. There's nothing like it. So keeps getting better. We want to be part of that success. We want to be part of the reason that it's growing and developing. Right now our RPI is fourth best in the league at 62 or whatever, but that needs to be in the high 40s if we're going to talk about doing any major business. That's a lot of wins coming down the road here.
It is, but 62 is a nice place to be when you look at years past of where you've been. So, hey, one final thought. We have about 30 seconds. Key or two on Wednesday night.
Well, handle ourselves well. Handle the ball well, right? And play defense. Don't allow any transition. Box out, one shot and out. We'll be okay.
All right, the Rams in the pit in New Mexico coming up Wednesday night. We'll go on air at 7:30. The tip-off comes at 8 p.m. here across the Colorado State Sports Network. For Tim Miles and Kristen Holt, head coach of the CSU women's basketball team, Charlie Grimes, who is back at Master Control here tonight, and our on-site engineer, Bob Greenfield. I'm Brian Roth saying so long. Thanks for listening to the Coors Light CSU Basketball Coaches Show from the Beach House Grill in Old Town Fort Collins.